What is good? Osiris here, stuck in the middle. I want to do a response on this Frederick Joseph situation. Someone replied on a previous video of mine, and they said, "This is Danny Rosa. Thank you for your comment, Danny." I quote, "The white man in the video confirmed that Emma Sarley said to stay in the hood to F Joseph. Good for him for getting her fired. Why should we let something like this go? Racism should never be tolerated, and choosing to be passive instead of defending yourself is simply because you're too used to the white man always getting his way." And I replied, I might do a quick this is the quick video reply to that, because I was uninterested in the general conversation of what happened with not Frederick Douglass, the wrong Frederick, two different dudes, Frederick Joseph. And if you aren't familiar with the scenario, I will link a video up above. It's the one I put Nicole Hannah Jones slams black author for getting woman fired. And I wasn't interested in the Frederick Joseph situation because it's just more race baiting and race stuff. And but that comment made me think. And it's like, if I'm going to criticize Frederick Joseph, and I didn't really do that, I just gave Nicole Hannah Jones praise for criticizing him. But same thing indirectly. If I'm going to criticize the way he responded, then why not let's talk about what would a respectable response look like? Hey, do you, first of all, that I can only speak for myself. So however you feel the right way to respond to something like that, that's up to you. You have to make that choice. But she wasn't representing a company in that interaction that we know of. So we didn't see the whole interaction. So we'll just have to hypothetically, allegedly, nothing concrete. So this woman said, and I believe she said it, just my opinion, because she said something. He said, like, did you say in my hood? And then there was a white guy, as the comment said, that said, yeah, she did say it. And then she started acting weird about it. I think she said it. So let's just assume, um, allegedly, she said that. They had an interaction, and she said, hey, you're in the wrong hood, or why don't you stay in your hood? Racial undertones, no question. I don't have any debate about that. I'm not saying she's racist, but that comment has racial undertones, whether she knows that or not. But she's not representing a company at that moment. So we had some discussion on that thread about, should we take out cell phones or not? Do we need privacy or not? I understand your comment on, do we need privacy laws or not? Those aren't enforceable in my opinion. Everybody has a camera. Pretty soon we're going to have glasses. Apple's working on them. Google used to have one with Google Glass, but they failed on, like, they fail with every hardware. I digress. But we're going to have cameras everywhere. So I don't think it's realistic to say you can't shoot video. And I don't blame him for shooting video. I would not have myself. So the guy took out the camera. It looked like right after she said, stay in your hood or whatever, something about your hood. And the camera is the defense. So Danny says on the comment, we shouldn't tolerate this, and we should defend ourselves, is what Danny said. The camera is your defense to show what happened, because there are racial undertones in my hood, and I don't blame Frederick Joseph for taking out the camera to say, hey, this is what's really happening. Not to have an interaction or back and forth, but if someone's saying in my hood and they're being a little hostile, I don't know if they're going to lie about something I did or said or whatever. So that's the defense. So I don't have a problem with the camera. The problem is Frederick Joseph went to her employer and said, and did whatever, and now she's fired. And there's a problem with the employer as well to fire someone for just that, in my opinion. But her employment had nothing to do with this interaction. We can be people. We can be people outside of where we work. And it doesn't have to blend in. Unless you are if you're wearing the gear of your job, that's a problem. So if you work at McDonald's, and so if she has I hate whatever company. I don't want to bring up any companies. If you're wearing a company gear and you do that, that's a problem because you're repping their gear. If you don't want that responsibility, then you're gonna have to start your own business or do whatever else to make money. But that wasn't the case. Why do we have to bring our employer into it, Danny? Help me understand, Danny. Why do we need to bring her employer into the loop? Now, if he takes the video and see, I would take the video for defense, so I wouldn't post it online. I would save it in my Google Photos or whatever. So it shouldn't even be online, in my opinion. Tell me, Danny, why does the video need to be online? Or not just Dan, I'm not going against you, Danny. It's anyone who agrees with Danny. Why if you record the video, why does it need to go online? You're going online with it to go viral. That's the impression. That's my opinion, and there is probably no shaking me from that. Especially with Frederick Joseph, if you look into some of the other things, he's got a history with this. Your goal matters. My goal is not to be going heads up, citizen to citizen. My goal is going after institutional power. So if your goal is racism and your goal is different than mine, and that's fine, because racism will always exist. I'm never going to have a goal to eliminate racism or fight racism. That's asinine. It's stupid. It's like saying I have a goal of eliminating anger in the world. What? It's not illegal to be a racist. You can have racist thoughts. So my goal is peace. So if I have that interaction with that woman, I'm falling back. I'm like, my bad. I didn't do anything. I just live around the corner. We're neighbors. No beef. Something was off with her. Something is off with a lot of us in this country. I just did the video on Stephen Colbert and people are clapping. Jimmy Kimmel's wishing the death of fellow citizens and people are clapping. I'm not lying about it. Something is wrong. I mean, it's clearly, I don't know if it's in the air or what. Something is off with people. And I want to de-escalate, not escalate. It's okay to walk away, Danny. That's not supporting racism. You're fighting some random woman around the way. What does that do for racism? Danny, what does that do for racism? What the hell is that do? What's your goal? Are you more concerned about that random woman than Nancy Pelosi and her husband flipping stock options every other day? While their district is nothing but a fentanyl paradise? We've got thousands of people coming across the border and you're worried about some random woman that said stay in your hood? I don't care if she had dropped an N-bomb. I'm not worried about you. You have no power. Why am I worried about you? You know that me just saying that made me think of I bring up Eric July a lot. Hey, the guy's great. Here, I'm going to link a clip at the end of this. I'm going to end with a clip from Eric July. It is my favorite Eric July video. I'm not going to play the whole thing, but I've watched it like 10 times. And the way he said it about replying to this guy he was an anti-racist guy. And he's basically saying the same thing I'm saying. You have no power. You're just a random woman. If it was Nancy Pelosi that said stay in your hood, I would think I think it would be worth uploading. I'm not to say here's how Nancy talks. She represents you. She's in the government. This is just some random woman. Aim higher. That's why I did the video on car mines. I'm just ranting right now, so just let it go. I'm on the roll, let it go. But I did a random video on the Black Lives Matter, and Hawk Newsom and I agree on it should be a choice. The V should be a choice. And I want to say, great, let's work on that. But people are trying to give them credit for protesting the V. They're not doing that. They're protesting a hostess and a restaurant. That is not what I'm here for. I'm not here and I'll post videos from random citizens on TikTok and stuff like that. My goal is not to attack them as people, it's to talk about the ideas that they're espousing and how that affects us and how those with power are creating the atmosphere. And it goes here too, where people in power are creating this atmosphere where this whole industry around finding racist moments. And you know what? It's funny. It looks pretty hard for people to find them. But you see people like Jamel Hill and others. Jamel Hill posts all the time, or random citizens are posting about the N bomb or something like that. And it's like, is that really what? Really, Jamel? That's what I'm supposed to. Am I supposed to be scared? What am I supposed to do with that? Unless you translate that up to higher power and how that influences it. So that's where I'm at. And that's why I'm so hard on our president who creates this atmosphere where it's like it empowers this industry of anti this, anti that, people versus people. You've got to be really careful when people empower. This is a red flag when people empower, create an atmosphere for you to go after a fellow citizen. And I'm like, wait a second. Maybe the fellow citizen did something wrong. Like, I think the woman was off here, something mentally was off. She looked off a little bit there. But if you, just because she's off doesn't mean I'm going to ignore what you're doing, Mr. Sir. You've got all this other stuff going. No, 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 no. You empower. That's where I'm going to focus my thoughts on, not on the fellow citizen. And hopefully, even with that person that said in my hood, maybe there's something that we can agree on after I de-escalate. Maybe because if you encountered her once, you might run into her again. My goal is to be like, I don't have beef with you. I'm not, maybe I'm not from this hood. I just came over here because sometimes I'll walk my dog in a different neighborhood. I'm always on alert because these neighborhoods aren't always, they're homogenous in not with my skin color. But I'm not like scared or anything, but I'm aware of, hey, you're not from around here. And even when I go to inner cities, like I haven't done that in a while, but I used to live in Detroit, and just for fun, believe it or not, this is crazy. In the early 2000s, I had a 92, 93 Honda Accord. Loved that car with leather interior. I love those old Hondas. I would literally just roll through the hood just to be like, what's the hood all about? And when I rolled through the hood, now the skin color was the same. They knew I wasn't from around there. So I had to be aware of that. And I rolled through and hope to hell my car didn't break down. And this is in broad daylight. East Side Detroit. East Side Detroit was rough back in the day. Let me know what you think. I'm just ranting here, but I guess my big takeaway is, Danny, I have bigger fish to fry. Take care.
We have to talk about this. This is like your typical white lady. He looks like your typical. Hell, look at the freeze frame. Like, is that just not the with the glasses and everything? That is the like white leftist. Like that's him, right? That's the meme. That's the meme. You're looking at the meme right there on that freeze frame. But let's listen to what this man had to say, and we'll dissect everything it was that he said just really quick.
Exactly. I am the oppressor. I am racist. Oh my god, he just said he's racist. It shouldn't be this hard, you guys. If you live in America, went to school, participate in the socioeconomic structures, participate in any sort of system, education, business, entertainment, what have you, and you are white, you are indoctrinated, you are oppressive, and yes, you are racist. It is something that we have learned, either consciously or subconsciously, all of us as white Americans. And what we have to do is unlearn that. I'm trying to do the work. Part of doing the work is pushing against dangerous narratives that are counterintuitive to that unlearning, like white people are also oppressed by racism. We're not. We are the oppressors. That's the point. You should be doing the unlearning too. Do the work. Exactly.
Oh man, these man, like look, I know this is a lot of people don't like me to say this, but I think some of the most evil son of bitches on the world are white leftists. All of the most blatant forms of racism that I've experienced have been by way of white leftists. It's just masked with this whole kind of fraud, caring effort, humanitarian effort. But they say a lot of racist shit. But you have to unpackage this, okay? He talks about like unlearning and all this other stupid shit. The guy really thought he was saying something right there, right? He basically what he did say was that if you are white, you are racist, including him. It's just you're just bred to be that way, and if you participate in business, god damn, and if you participate in business, according to this very white man, he says that you're racist, right? Now, racism does have a defined term. I know they're trying to kind of do a like, and it's funny because we did over at Freedom Tunes, which I do a lot of voiceover work for. Over at Freedom Tunes, we did an entire tune on that concept where they're trying to change it, like, oh, it's that plus institutional power and all this other dumb crap. But racism is just thinking that race is the primary determinant of set of traits and attributes, often kind of displaying this form of inferiority or superiority. So what this man just did, and yeah, I agree, you are racist, Mr. White Man, just not in the way that you think. Because, and this is what's hilarious, these guys, I saw these scrawny, pencil neck white dudes who think of themselves as oppressors. You couldn't oppress a goddamn tree branch, bro. You couldn't possibly. Let's first of all look at you. We have a frame comparison, right? Look at me and look at you. I'm way better looking. Like, that's number. Like, I mean, we got to get that out the way first and foremost. I'm way better looking than this guy. More athletic, I can already tell. I'm way more athletic. Guy probably runs about a 5'3", 40 at best. I'd probably shimmy shake him, fade away, baby jump shots all day long, beat him 140 meters, 100 meters, 200, whichever way that he wanted. So, and I probably make more money than this guy. But that's neither here nor there. I'm just using this as an example. What these guys do is they give themselves this power, and they like to think of themselves as that power, that they have that inherent power just because their whiteness gives them that. So he is displaying the fact that just because of who he is, skin tone, he has this sort of power that is just like inherent in him. When again, he can't. What? Look at this guy. Look at him. Like, look at him. Look at him. Look at me. Now look at him. Then I look back at me. What are you talking about? But nonetheless, this is how they think, and this is why a lot of like black leftists, of other let's say racists, love to foam at the mouth when they hear that white man say something like this. But again, they don't. It is racist. He is correct in that sense, but it's not in the way that he's thinking. It's that you are giving yourself this fraud authority that you do not have, this fraud power that does not exist. You don't possess that. You pretend to possess that. And I know it gives you this like sort of like this ego boost, right? And you can tell, look at his head, his round ass oval shaped head. He has a big head. And that's because his ego is massive, right? And that's why they say things like this, like, look at me, right? I have all of this power. And now I'm lecturing on the other white people about the power that they inherently have and that they're all racist. I'm one of the good guys. This is what he's doing, is inflating his ego. But what he is saying, these are the worst type of like these white leftists that do stuff like this, most evil sons of bitches. They are racist. It's just in a way that they don't actually understand. You don't possess this power that you pretend to have. And, once you can get over that hump and you stop giving yourself that fraud power that you just you pretend as if you inherit, well, we can move beyond this whole obsession over race. We could. But this is what white leftists do. That's exactly what they do. They sit there and pontificate on TikTok, in this guy's case, to sit here and lecture other white people about how, they are racist, and because they get to say, he's like, hey, look at us fellow whites, right? We're you're racist, I'm racist, you're powerful, I'm powerful. It's like, who determined that? Like, look at you, And I will say this again, like I say on each of it, if you're one of those white dudes, if you're one of those white dudes, those corny ass white dudes that go out there apologizing for being white or doing what it is that he is doing, you are scum of the earth as far as I'm concerned, man. See, at least the racists, like the legitimate, like white supremacists, at least they are like upfront with their racism, right? And they'll just tell you like kind of what, I mean, I know it's only like 2 of them that exist in America, but they'll at least tell you like, okay, this is what I believe and I'm better than you inherently. They don't have to like guilt trip or do any of that shit. It's just, they'll just tell you straight up they feel as if they inherit some sort of superiority, but they're direct with it. They're not like kind of a self-hating or self-degrading, or they're trying to make it seem as if they do have the power, and therefore what they're utilizing that power to do is lecture every other white person. And even on like, you are the absolute scum of the earth. You're a loser. You're a fucking loser. Like, white folk that apologize for being white especially are just, you're just a loser. But it's interesting is that this sort of idea is starting to ramp up. They want to be considered one of the good guys, and it's like, dude, you're just a white dude. That's it. You're just a white dude. You don't possess anything. I know that there has been, because of the academics, this whole hyper emphasis on privilege and all these other concepts, which for whatever reason assume as if we're all equal anyway, which we aren't. We differ. Again, I'm more athletic. I'm better looking than the man that you just saw. That's a fact. It's not even my opinion. That's just what the facts show. But if we want to get over the hump of, okay, obsessing over it, which is what you're seeing in the West nowadays, then y'all have to rid yourselves of this moronic idea that simply because you exist in a system, you are powerful. That's not how it works. Now, there are a lot of other things that can benefit certain folks. I mean, I'm not saying that racism doesn't exist. Of course it does. Just not to the degree that you guys pretend that it does. Or, more precisely, it doesn't manifest itself in ways that you pretend that it manifests itself in. Mr. White Guy, corny white guy. You're not oppressive. You couldn't oppress anything. Your arms are probably, look at it, look, noodle arms. You're not oppressing anybody. I know that sounds good. It's a narrative that is perpetuated and is heightened up last years. It's simply not a thing. You're giving yourself a power that you don't actually possess to try to present yourself as a good person, but you don't possess any of that shit. And you don't, as a white person, speak on behalf of other white folk. Just as black folks, an individual black person does not speak on behalf of other black people. I'm pretty sure there are white folks that are probably watching this video that relate to me more than they relate to you. Why? Because you're a fucking loser. And my fan base and the guys that support me aren't, right? It's difference, right? You know, and just because they're white, you know, it doesn't, like all skin folk ain't kin folk, you know what I'm saying? But we can get over this hump once y'all learn to shut the fuck up.